Welcome to Blender. In this video, we're going to look at the refrigerator, get it optimized, unwrap it, texture it, and get it into Second Life. So let's get started. We still have our cup in the scene. I don't want the cup in the scene anymore, so I'm going to select the cup, and I'm going to hit M, New Collection, and just name it Cup. And when you click OK, that'll send the cup into the new collection and create it up here. So we can go ahead and turn all three of these off. The last one is the rendering. Make sure you have that off because when we bake our textures, we don't want our cup messing with our textures. So now we got the refrigerator, and it's all joined in one piece, which is fine because we was putting it into Second Life. So I'm going to go ahead and in edit mode and hit tab. Go into face select by hitting 3, and I'm going to select the bottom face here. I want to put the point of origin, which is probably down here for you guys, in the center of this bottom so that it's easy to move. So if I hit Shift S, I can do cursor to selected, which will put it center of the bottom face. And then I can go back into object mode by hitting tab, right click, set origin to 3D cursor. And that'll put that there. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift C and put the 3D cursor back where it belongs. And I'm going to hit Shift S with the refrigerator still selected and do selection to cursor. Well, actually, it doesn't matter. You can do world origin or cursor. Let's do world origin. Oh, that was cursor. Never mind. Yeah, just do selection to cursor, and that'll put it back. What I wanted to show is you could just hit Alt-G, and that'll put it also, because we have the origin at the bottom of the fridge, and Alt-G resets the location. So our fridge is center of the viewport, which is good. Okay, now that we got her centered up, let's go ahead and get it optimized by removing some of the geometry. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to select the refrigerator and hit L, and then I'm just going to hide it. And I'm going to select the back faces of both doors, and we're just going to delete those. So X delete faces, and that'll delete all the faces of the doors on the back side because we ain't going to see them. I'm going to select the end caps of all the hinges, and that one. These are the supports for the door. I'm going to get rid of all those, and nope, not right click, X, and delete faces. So that optimized our door. I don't think we can remove anything else without losing a face we can see. So since we hit our refrigerator, to get it back, I'm going to hit Alt H, and I'm going to go back into object mode, select plane, and hide it so it's not in my way. Back to the refrigerator and tab again to go into edit mode, and I'm going to select the bottom face of the refrigerator because I don't need it either, and delete it. So that's optimized now. There's no geometry. We can't see that's still there, so that's good. Oh, that one's broken. So let's put that one back on. So I'm going to select 2 and just select the top and bottom and hit F. The rest of them we shouldn't be able to see though. Yeah. Good. Okay, the extra geometry is taken care of. Now let's get this thing unwrapped. So I'm going to go back into face select mode, I think. Select one of the pieces of the fridge and hit L, and then hit Control I to invert it, and we can just hide all that extra stuff. So we need to unwrap this. So I'm just going to mark, go to edge select mode. I'm going to grab that seam, this one, and this one, and I'm going to mark seams. And now we can go to UV editing. And if you can't find your refrigerator, you can hit period on number pad because you have it selected already. I'm going to change this back to solid view. And I'm going to turn my face orientations back on because or my overlays back on because I have them turned off so I can't see nothing. Hit A and U and unwrap it. That looks pretty good. So those are the edges of the fridge. That's the top of the fridge. So I know it needs turned to the right. So I'm going to select everything, rotate it 90, and I'm just going to set it up here out of the way for right now. So now we can go back into the viewport screen and hit Alt H. And I'm going to select both doors with L and L, and then Control I to invert everything and hide it. So now we need to unwrap these. So I'm going to mark a seam on each corner. And I'm just shift selecting each of these edges. And that should unwrap all that because we don't have a backside, so all these will just fold out. So right click, mark seam, hit A, and U, and unwrap. And you see how each one of the edges folded out, and that's the center, and that's the center. So I'm gonna hit A, and I'm gonna move these out, making sure I don't put it over where I put the refrigerator. Okay, so Alt H to unhide with the mouse in this window. And we need to unwrap the handles. So I'm going to select an edge of the handle, hit L and L, Control I to invert it, H, just so I can see what I got going on here. Now these ones, I'm going to unwrap them so that they open up sideways. So I'm going to grab that edge and mark 3 edges there, and 3 edges there, and right click, mark seam, and do the same with the bottom. So I'm going to grab that edge. If you hold control and middle mouse and push forward and backward, you can slide in slowly instead of doing the increments. So I'm going to do that one. And him. Right click, mark seams. And now we can hit A, U, and unwrap. And that unwraps those. I don't like this one being turned that way, so I'm just going to hit L on it and rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm going to make sure I'm in vertex select mode up here. Select the top. Doesn't matter that I select at the top. And I'm going to turn sync off. Select nothing. Now select the top. And I want to make sure I got that's the top selected and that's the top selected. That way I know they're both the right orientation. So we're good there. So I'm going to turn my sync back off and hit A. And now I'm going to grab those guys and just move them like over here. Back over to this window, Alt H. And now we need to do all our little pieces. So I'm going to hit L on this one, whoop, Control Z, L, L, and the bottom one, L, and then our hinges. We'll get all those wrapped into one piece. L. If you want to select everything's the same color, because we already made colors on this, so I can't remember which one is which. I think this material is for all my hinges, or all my hinges and my brackets. So if I hit select, it'll select everything that's that color, and you can see that they're that color here by hitting your viewport shading preview, material preview. So they're all selected now. Now I can hit Control I and invert it, hide everything, and we just got to mark the seams on these things. So I know the back side of this guy. I want to focus on it, so I selected one edge and I'm hitting period on number pad just to focus on it. So I know this back side's, so I just want them all to open that way. So I'm going to select all the edges, right click, mark seam, and I'm going to do that with all of these. So him, and him, this one, that one, and that one, and that one, that one, that one, that one, and I'm going to right click, mark seam, and that got all of those. Now I'm going to do these guys, so I'm just going to box select that, put it on number pad to zoom in on it. And this one, I'm just going to mark, actually I don't want the top, I want the bottom. Just like that. Right click, mark seam. No idea why that's blue. Just materials assigned wrong. probably because I deleted it and re-added it. These ones don't have an end cap, so I'm just unwrapping them the same way as the other one. And this one also. Him, him, and him. Right click, mark seam. Now all of those should be unwrapped properly, or seams marked. So hit A to select everything, U, and unwrap. And then we got a bunch of crazy triangles and stuff, or X's, but it's fine. Alt H to unhide everything, and I believe that's the whole refrigerator. So I'm going to grab all those and move them out. Now what I want to do is I want to give this the most texture space, and maybe the doors, because these just use up more space of the refrigerator. These handles and brackets, they're not really using that much space. So we can go ahead and select all these and just scale them down to make sure they're going to fit kinda. And I'm going to hit Alt or Control Space Bar to go full screen. And I'm going to start putting these in here. This doesn't look right. I removed the texture off there because the texture was real long and it was not showing me the right size of UV space. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to scale it on the X a little bit to widen it up some. Make it more uniform. And just scale the whole thing down a little bit. And put it maybe down here. Let's move those out of the way first. And put it like down here. My doors, I didn't check to see if my doors are going the right way, so I'm going to hit Control Space and turn sync off, or on rather, and select the top of this and see where it's at. And that's the top of the door. I've seen it light up. And the same with this one. And that's the side of the door, so that's no good. So I'm going to hit L on it, rotate it 90, and it went to the right, and it was the right side of the door, so it should be on top now, but we can check it. Nope, it's the bottom. So rotate 180. Now it should be top. Yeah. So I'm gonna move him over. I'm actually gonna scale him on the Y and X. I kind of want it more square, so let's select that and scale it back on that X. And I'm gonna make this one square also. That looks pretty good. And I'm actually going to arrange them this way because this is the top and this is the bottom. And if I lay a texture on there, I want it to kind of go on both of them. So we'll take him and move him here. Move these guys. Oops. Here, and we'll move all these inside there and scale them down a little bit. Actually, let's take all of these and move them here and take him and move him up. And scale him up to use more texture space. And then all these guys we can put in there like that. Yeah, that looks fine. You know what? Figuring out where you want these things, you want to try to use as much texture space as you can. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to scale it up more. I think I want it down there now. Yep, I'm going to scale these up, put them there. I'm going to move these. Actually, I'm going to move him too. I'm going to scale him up. those guys. And I'm just going to hit L on them, each individual one, and move them. Oops. And just get them in the texture space. And I'm just hitting L and G and doing this. There. That looks better. I'm using as much texture space as I can. Okay, so we have all our UVs. Okay, so we have this unwrapped and our islands placed where we want them. Now let's go over here and fix this one little blue one we got here. So I'm going to hit 3 to go into face select mode. Select that face. Make sure I'm on my materials tab and go up here, and I know it's this material, so I'm going to select it and just assign it, and that'll change it to the color it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to jump back in layout and get us some light in here. I think I have a plane. I don't know if there's a light in this scene. Nope. So we need some light. I'm going to go into render view, go to my render properties, make sure I have cycles on and GPU compute on, and I'm going to hit Shift A and add a light. I'm going to make an area light. Let me turn my screencast keys on. And the light comes below the bridge, so we're just going to hit G and move it up. And I'm going to scale it up pretty good size. Click the light button over here and crank up the value, maybe 2000. That's probably a little too much, but I'll just move it up some more and scale it up bigger. And that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go to my shading tab. And we'll change this to rendered view at the top here. And select the refrigerator and go to my material properties and start with the first one. So the first one, we want to make it shiny. So I'm just going to turn up the metallic. And that should give it a tiny, we'll turn down the roughness a little bit on it. And that's kind of shiny. That'll do. For the refrigerator, I believe that's this material. Oh, that's a darker one, so it's this material, which is the refrigerator itself. I'm going to turn the roughness down on it. Turn the specular up on it a little bit. That looks pretty good. And for the doors, which is this material, we can actually name these materials too. Doors. Name it brackets. And then the black one is handles. And the last one is the, call it body. So now that we have those named, it'll be easier to pick out what's what. So let's see. For the handles, I'm going to make them more of a matte. So I'm just going to turn the specular down a little bit, turn this up a little bit. That looks pretty good. And then for the doors, I'm going to turn the roughness down on them a little bit also, just to give it some shine. This probably isn't going to translate over to Second Life very well, but it's good practice to mess with these values. Usually we just mess with like the metallic, the specular, and the roughness, and the base color. So once we have that, I'm going to go ahead and bake this guy. So I'm going to hit Shift A, texture, image texture, or if you put it on your quick favorites, it's right there. And if you didn't, when you hit Shift A, texture, image texture, you just right click and add it to your quick favorites. So we have that texture, and I'm going to create a new one and turn off the alpha and click OK. And I'm going to rename it. We're just going to call it Fridge Bake. And now I'm going to make a copy of it, so you can right click and copy it. And that's on the doors, so I need one on the brackets. So I'm just going to Control V. On the handles, Control V. And on the body, Control V. Double check, make sure the orange node is selected on each one of those. And it is. Make sure your fridge is selected. And then we can bake it. But before I bake it, I want to pop back over into layout and go back to solid view and check my face orientation, make sure nothing's inside out. So everything's right side, blue. So if it was red, you need to go into edit mode and select it, shift in, and change your normals back to blue. Okay, so that's right. And we'll turn that off. And I'll go back to material preview. I don't want to go into render, but I'm going to jump to shading anyhow. And I'm going to go ahead and material preview on there. Select our render properties. My max samples, I'm going to bake at 512. And we'll go down here. And if this bake isn't open already, you can just open it. And click bake. And we'll give that a second. There we go. And that's baked. So we can go to the three little lines here, and the image has an asterisk in it, which means we have a texture that's not been saved. And we'll just go save as. And Blender. That's the fridge, and I'll save it in here. It's fridge bake. And click save. So we've got our bake done and saved. So now I'm going to jump back in layout. And I'm going to hit in. And if you guys already done this from the last video, then the size should be good. But I'm going to go to item and check the size, and it's 2 meters tall, more or less. So that's good. If it's not, you need to scale it down and then do your object, apply all transforms, or if you saved it to the Q menu, hit Q and all transforms, and that'll set your scale to 1. If it's not 1, it needs to be 1. So this thing's ready to be exported. If you've already exported it, you will have to export it a second time, because when we changed the UV editing and changed all these maps, that tells the textures where to lay. So if you've already exported it, the fridge you have in Second Life is broke, so you need a new one. That way the textures lay properly on it. So we're going to go to File, Export, Collada, and we're going to do Operator Preset, SL OpenSim Static, and like I said, I like to turn off copy. And we're already in the fridge file. I'm going to rename it to fridge and export Collada. Now we can jump into Second Life and go to build, upload, mesh model, and go to the fridge file and do the fridge. Shoot, I have two. Let's see. That'll be this one. And there's our fridge. Looks good. So we need a physics model, so I'm going to go to choose one and pick the cube. And it's already named fridge. And then just calculate my weights and fees. And it's half land impact. And upload. I'm going to drag this out. And our fridge is there. And it comes with the colors because they were all base colors. So we want to right click it, edit it. Go over to the texture tab, pick the color, and just change it to white. And click OK. Now we can upload our image. and find it in your files and double click it and open it, and it throws it in here, and I can just start applying it to the materials of the fridge. And one more right there. And there it is. We have a fridge. All the textures are baked. We get the shadows of the handles on there. Yeah, it looks pretty good. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. If you learned anything and you liked it, go ahead and subscribe and click like. Thanks.